Are we on the air?
No,
Testing,
we're
1, 2,
we're
1,
on the
2.
computers.
Shadow Knows, the Shadowe Crew Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to episode numero 3 of the Shadowe Crew Podcast. I don't think there's any introductions needed. Thank you for tuning in, wherever you may be watching or streaming or listening. We're available pretty much anywhere on social media, but specifically here on YouTube. So please like, subscribe, thumbs down. We don't care as long as you give us some attention. That's all we care about. But it's a bunch of guys just shooting the shit, talking about things we like to talk about, pop culture related. It could be anything from action figures, movies, TV, to comic books, and anything else that's super relevant in today's day and age. But last episode, I know we talked about a lot of stuff centered around DC and Marvel. We got into zombies and John Wick and a bunch of other cool shit. I think this episode, I'd love to talk a little bit more about the action figure side. I think all of us are somewhat passionate about. And then also talk through a couple of other interesting things in the realms of the comic book universe. And so perhaps we start with that, which is, I think, a big thing. For those of you who don't know, I think everyone in some form or fashion has been involved in the comic book industry and producing, writing, artwork. I think this group here, Chet, Alex, Dr. Brentley, myself, have been involved in various companies producing independent work, and then also partnering with some major publishers and big celebrities. And I think forever, as long as I've known comics, there was one kind of big player in the space, and that was Diamond Distributor, right? Diamond, you would go to your shop, and if you wanted to order books and see what was hot, you would get this massive phone book of all the things alphabeticalized with A through Z, and you'd have to pay and get approved, and that was the way outside of conventions, an early stage of the internet, that people knew about you, right? And so they held really the throne for so many years, and that has changed obviously with how the world has shifted around technology. And some recent news about are they experiencing, I think, what some may call a bit of a fall, and people are sourcing their comics and interest in different ways. And so I'd love to get everyone's thoughts here on your memories of that and where you think they're headed, for good or bad. But I think it's a really welcomed change to what was such a dominant player and ruled with kind of, in our opinion, an iron fist that was so impossible as an independent player to try to get your shit in front of people's eyes. So I will pass the baton on to you.
Well, let me just say something, a good thing first, which is previews people used to make every month, it looked like a Stephen King novel.
I got that every month, yeah.
Now that thing's going to be like a magazine because nobody is with them anymore.
Well,
so saving the planet by no paper.
So I'll give in just pure transparency on this. Like when I saw you guys blowing up my phone about this news, I didn't know this was happening, and I'm still mind blown because the guy that runs Diamond Comics is arrogant as,
Yes.
I don't want to get into it, but he's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, as a person that we've worked with Diamond throughout the years, we've seen the progression. I remember from the early days, you can think about the 90s with the whole image explosion, and then everybody going to exclusives and everything else like that. I think Diamond, there was some good with Diamond and there was some bad with Diamond. But I think their death blow was when the pandemic happened. They didn't have a recourse of what they were going to do, and at that point, it showed what happened when there was only one major player. Now, when I started reading comics in the 80s, there were several different distributors, and it was kind of like you would think breweries. There was major breweries and then there was like minor ones. Well, they had a bunch of different distributors. And then Diamond ended up becoming a monopoly. And when you become a monopoly, first of all, you set the rules. The second thing is you grow too big because you don't have competition, so you're not going to make any changes. And I think that what happened with Diamond was they got to, like Icarus, they flew too close to the sun. And they just really believed that they were the biggest thing in town. And then Penguin Random House, and out of nowhere, Lunar showed up. And I think they basically are showing them how to do their game and do it better than they're doing it. And it's a natural course when you've gotten to the point where you've gotten your arrogance enough where, hey, we don't need to make changes. Everyone else needs to change around us. And now you're starting to notice, like I remember last year when Image was talking about DC and Marvel leaving Diamond. So, oh, we would never do something like that. And then like a couple of months ago, the Image was like, well, we're leaving Diamond. And because, you know, it's about business in the long run. Who's actually running the business? Penguin Random House is a huge player in the book world. Why wouldn't you move over to them? You know, I think that Diamond now is regulated. I think Diamond produces great toys. I think Diamond Select toys are fantastic. And I see them moving into that direction because they have a fall book plan. But I don't think they're going to, with the independence that I've seen in the preview book, that's not enough business to constantly run warehouses and keep spacing and everything else for that. That doesn't make any sense anymore.
Who's going to Lunar?
Well, I know DC's at Lunar. I think Marvel moved over to Penguin Random House, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that Images, I think they're splitting their scenarios between, I think it's Random House and one other. And I know Dark Horse is left. So, you know, pretty much every major player in town is left Diamond. All those big exclusives that, like in the early 2000s, when everybody's like, oh, I have exclusive with Diamond, and they were like, you know, running articles all over the place with that. Now, those are the guys that are gone because they saw the business model. You know, you had to, during the pandemic, Diamond let those people out to hang.
Yeah.
You know, and they weren't producing books, and companies were falling on the wayside. And, you know, that's just, you never had a contingency plan of what was going to happen, what was going to be your next move, and you didn't move too quick enough. Well, somebody stepped in, and Lunar supplied books to shops, and DC made that jump. And I knew this is probably the end of Diamond in the way that's run right now.
And
So
didn't
what
they have like it was you had to sell 1,000 books minimum?
No, it got to at one point, I believe
10,000.
Was it 10,000? I know it earlier days it was 2,500, and then it kept moving it.
So Diamond. When I was helping out a friend of mine who runs Dreamworld Comics in Culver City, and I was helping him do ordering, and like some of the shit that we had to go through for Diamond was like crazy, but there was just no one else at the time, and that was for like books and toys and like magic cards, like all that stuff. Like it was just and if Diamond thought you did bad, they let you know by punishing you on your order. And that was where I was like, dude, there's no way that this cannot last. Like someone's going to come in. Like, I will say this. If you were an independent comic book artist looking to like get started and you wanted to get everything printed in a way that people could get it fast and distributed, there is zero reason why you shouldn't go through like Amazon Publishing. Maybe it's not the best looking comic book, but it doesn't matter because you can then build your audience and get it. But like I did a cigar book on Amazon and that thing sold a bunch, and I never touched anything. I just ordered a bunch of copies and gave them out for free. So like that's where I think, you know, you have people that like Lunar that were like, screw it, like we'll get books wherever you want. And then on top of the fact that if Lunar does it and they do it better, there's zero reason to stay with Diamond.
Well, it's all about who's going to be the hungriest. You know, it's like Diamond got fed. They were no longer hungry. There was somebody waiting behind them for a fall, and they took advantage of that. And then you get bigger corporations like Penguin Random House that just shows up, and, you know, they're going to try to take the market over. And just when you get content and you basically I know numerous comic shop owners that Diamond really did screw people over in a lot of ways, and there's some people that are up there, like, clapping their hands now at their fall and everything, and some of it's due to it, but it's a shame that they couldn't make the turnaround after the pandemic, because I think that was their audition with all these other companies. What were they going to do after the pandemic, and what were they going to show people that they were going to do to upgrade and futurize their actual warehouses and their industry? And they just never did that.
Know, I'm gonna tell you right now. You know what Lunar and Penguin did? Because I'm looking at this, is they made a website where you can find shit.
Yeah.
Because I'm on that right now, and like it looks like Penguin grabbed. They have some some of the anime stuff, but they do have like Disney, like they have Disney, and then Lunar has Image and in DC. But I can find stuff on this. Like I don't know if any of you guys have tried to navigate the preview site for Diamond. It's like a joke. It's like AOL search.
The biggest thing for me is with Electronic Gaming Monthly magazine done, Wizard magazine done, and now Previews done. What am I going to read when I'm taking a shit? I mean, that's the biggest issue for me. I mean, what content is left?
Well, you go to Lunar's website.
Yeah, I mean that also begs to differ on whether or not you have people that are passionate about the industry that end up starting their own shit, and then you start getting zines back.
Yeah. I think there's a world. I think with this push for 80s stuff coming back and now 90s, I wonder if there is. I don't know to the extent of you'll find it in 7-Elevens and you get to pick it up, but I do think some type of magazine would be cool. A rebirth of a Wizard type magazine. I know I would do it, but maybe this group does. Who knows? If there's interest and you're listening or you're viewing, drop a comment, because we would love to hear from all of you. Is there a world where magazines come back into the fold? A physical asset that I think people are looking for.
As a teenager, my favorite magazine was Starlog. And they don't have anything like that anymore. It was all science fiction, fantasy, movies, TV, anything like that. But honestly, it's like, I don't know that they make enough stuff. I mean, they do the superhero and they do some things like Witcher and stuff. But it almost seems like they were doing more science fiction stuff back then.
But wasn't there also for horror was Fangoria, right? That was like a big magazine.
Yep.
That was all about that. And then I think there was another one, but then you had some of these other cool things like Mad Magazine, like I don't know, all those things. So maybe there's a world where you mesh all of those together into one. That's pop culture. Maybe it could be Shadow Knows the magazine. I don't know.
But yeah, like Mad Magazine, there's nothing like that on the market now. But would people pick up a monthly humor magazine
if it got shipped directly to their home?
I had a friend of mine that was really into writing stories, and he's really good at writing stories. He had like some crazy books, and then somebody once told him like, you should do subscription on Amazon. And he's like, that sounds dumb, but let me look into it. And so instead of writing a giant book and selling it as one, he wrote the entire book and then had people subscribe monthly to get every chapter, and like just started getting like hand over fist money because people just got it to their Kindles. They like could read it. They just wanted to do it. So I think that there's a way to do it. See, the medium isn't dead, but the way that people were presenting the medium is dead. And everyone that has the money to support some crazy idea, they don't want to pay it because they're afraid if it fails, they lose money. Right. So like you kind of have to just go, okay, how can we do this with like little to no budget? And I think there is a need for a book like Wizards or a book like Nintendo Power or whatever, Mad Magazine, like anything like that. There's a need for it. People want it. There's nowhere to get it, and people don't think there's any money in it. And they're absolutely right. It's a passion project that has potential to be a cash cow, but no one wants to do it. And so if you did it and you did it right, Like, just imagine you could have these sections that we all used to love in like one book, and it's just it'll just take off, and just no one wants to do it.
Do we have to do a hashtag ad on the on this podcast episode? Because like when we release our magazine and we release our chapter subscription story model, people are like, "These guys just created a podcast."
Yeah, exactly.
and we'll come back and say, "Yes, we did." And Pepsi will be the new sponsor, and we Chet mentioned that for Iron Man 3 because we're also in talks with Pepsi. Just kidding. But hey,
but honestly, Pepsi, what's up?
Yeah,
as long as I don't have to drink it on camera, I'm fine.
There you go.
You just lost us, Pepsi, now, man. Thank you.
So, I think it's a welcome change to the industry, and I think if there's anything that I think about is what people are enjoying is bringing things that resonated with them when they were kids or younger generation. Ninja Turtles as an example, bringing them back, and perhaps there is an audience for a magazine or subscription that ties in all these things together. And in terms of previews and what the future holds, obviously that's shifted. And so I think more independence and more people that are trying to break through in the industry have multiple avenues to get their stuff out there. And I think that's a win for everybody. So really nice to see. Moving on. The action figure world, we love talking action figures, and there's a couple of pretty large but independent non-Hasbro or Mattel brands that are making their way into the scene for the past several years. Some really cool figures. NECA is one that comes to mind, and they're releasing things left and right, which is really great. But there's now Hot Toys that comes up with some really expensive, really detailed figures. And there's a couple of others as well, and one in particular, threezero, that's releasing a couple of cool classic figures. One in particular is a Rambo First Blood Part 2 figure. So I want to get everyone's take of like, what are your thoughts? These new figures coming out, these companies that are, now hitting the scene and really combating the Marvels and the Hasbros of the world.
There's not enough good stuff made today that they can make toys of, so they have to go back 40 years to find something. Oh, hey, Rambo 2. But that was really cool. It looks like it comes with the entire arsenal of everything Rambo ever fought with.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful figure. I think it's 1/6 scale. The detail is amazing on it, and I think that this is what the toy industry needs. You need people that have specialties, and it's like, as much as we love the stuff that Hasbro's doing, Mattel's doing, and some of the other companies, it's nice to see when you see Super 7 or threezeros or like any of the NECAs or anybody else come out with really detailed characters, and also certain things. There's like, you look at, there's so many brands that are still majorly popular. But like, there are people able to go out there and get the brands that mean something. There's a film or a television series or something that was like a one-off that they're making these toys to. And, there's a lot of Rambo fans. There's a lot of Rambo fans. And this is going to be one of those things like you can put on your shelf and, maybe have a little diorama picture behind it or something. And I truly believe that is what the industry needs. I think that's what makes the toy industry great, is that there's a little niches. It's not just all the big guys. And now the little guys are coming up and they're doing detailed work. And I looked at the pricing, and it's very rare when you say that's actually worth $200. Actually, that's actually the detail and the sculpting, and even right down to the accessories. That's worth that price.
The Rambo one's great. I mean, I'm a Rambo fan. I love all the Rambo movies. I don't think there's a bad one because I know what I'm watching. But I think that toy, it's unreal, man. The sculpt is fantastic, and like, it does come. I mean, it literally comes with the giant 50 caliber and like a string of bullets he gets to hold in one. Like, so like, they thought about it. they definitely did. But threezero, I have their Soundwave.
Okay.
And that thing is, It's the DLX version. I paid $210, almost, well, yeah, $210 for it. I was mad that I spent that much, and then I got it and took it out of the package, and it's like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I get it. Like it's quality. Like you can hold it. You have to really like it. It's good. They have a Optimus Primal one that I want. So they have a ton of stuff, man. But this is not a kid's toy line.
No,
it's not. It's literally not. Like there's no reason to buy your kid this fucking toy.
But I think the threezero is the affordable adult line, because when you look at the alternative of Hot Toys, it's like people are mortgaging their houses for Hot Toys, man. It's crazy. But at least this is in the realm of like maybe you spend one off. You're gonna take $210, $215. You're gonna buy one actual generalized figure. And I don't see the problem with it. I see the problem with I have a buddy that's a Hot Toys enthusiast. And like he's always calling me up, like, "Hey man, can I get $100 from you?" Like I got this Hot Toy coming in and everything. It's like, bro, there needs to be maybe a Hot Toys anonymous line that you need to
start calling. I mean, but I can understand that, man. So one of my all-time favorite villains ever created in any comic book universe, any universe ever.
That just starts with a G.
Is the Joker.
Oh, I thought it was going to be a G. Okay.
What do you think it was?
I don't know. What starts with a G? All-time villain.
Galactus?
Yeah.
No. Okay, let me rephrase it then. Yeah.
Okay.
I do have Galactus tattooed on my hand. No, okay, so but in terms of just psychotic, craziness, the Joker hands down is it just doesn't make sense why he does what he does. That's why I love him.
And they say I'm crazy.
And then Heath Ledger took it to a whole different world. And Hot Toys makes the Heath Ledger Joker.
That's awesome.
But that shit is $370. Yeah. And I'm very close to spending on it because I'm also the guy that in the last podcast talked about spending $1,500 on Grimlock. Hopefully this Hot Toy Joker walks around and stabs me with a pencil.
Let me ask you this. Speaking of the Rambo gun, if you had to unlimited money for a movie prop replica, authentic, whatever, of a gun of a franchise that you could be on display, I'm sure you all have thought about this. You may even own one. What would it be to put you on the spot?
RoboCop gun.
Oh, nice. Yes.
The I guess what the pulse rifle from Aliens.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Mine would be the Good Samaritan from Hellboy.
That's a good one, brother. That's a good one.
Mine, honestly, would be the cricket from Men in Black.
Series 4 deatomizer.
That's what I'm talking about.
Noisy cricket.
Hey, Kane, no, come on, man. Get in!
Do you remember Will Smith's gun? Yeah. That shit was awesome.
I bet you there's probably $2,200 right there.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. I mean, actually, you know what? Let's see if Slideshow has it.
Yeah.
I bet you they do. Do.
God, by the way, Men in Black is such a good movie. Such a good movie. I thought that franchise, it could have been a really big franchise, like multiple iterations. And they landed at what? It was, they did
Three.
2, and
four
they
of
did
them.
how many?
4.
Yeah, they
Well,
did
the
four.
fourth one
with
was
Will
like,
Smith
The
and
fourth
Tommy
one-
Lee Jones, and then the international with Hemsworth.
oh my
Yeah, and then the fourth one I think was with the women, or was that with Hemsworth?
No, that's Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now-
so even better, even freaking better. They have the neuralizer from Men in Black.
Yes, of course.
Would totally buy it.
They won't let you remember.
Sorry.
$605.
There you go.
I could go get you a Bic pen and just do some custom thing, and it'll cost you like
Now-
$50.
Well, no, look, it's worth it if it actually neuralizes people. And,
Yeah.
anyone that you walk in front of, then that's fine. I'll pay
That'd be
$600 for it.
amazing.
Let's be real, it doesn't.
Yeah, of course not. Not at that pricing.
Okay, it's good to know how much what if we did the Shadowe Crew Hall of Fame gun selection
Exactly.
mounted on the wall. It'd be
You know,
really great.
We're probably gonna have to get Shadow to do like a jump-in video in the middle of this and find out what he likes.
Oh yeah. I think it'd be a sword. Like he would go, like I don't know, he's into swords and shit. So I
Yeah,
think-
the swashbuckler in him. You know?
yeah. And we're gonna stay on the movie prop realm here. A lightsaber, what would it be? What character's lightsaber? Even if you're not a Star Wars fan, everyone likes a lightsaber. What would it be?
Mace Windu's.
Oh shit! Yep. Yeah.
The purple one.
This party's over.
But there was like a clip of him talking to. You could find it on like YouTube.
Figure out who we had to talk to about your light color, your lightsaber color.
Oh, well, good guys are green and blue, bad guys are red. That's just the way it works.
No purple lights?
You might get purple.
Damn, like you said, I want a purple, and George Lucas said you get a purple.
Well, he also said he wouldn't do the movie if he didn't get a purple lightsaber. That's why they had to do it.
Oh,
Love it.
there you go.
Yeah. He was like, I was like, dude, come on, dude, it's Sam Manuel Jackson. You gotta give that guy his purple lightsaber. Like shit, though, you don't fuck around with that guy.
Dr. Brantley, what would your lightsaber be?
Gotta be Luke's from Return of the Jedi. His own constructed one.
Nice.
Not that hand-me-down shit from his dad.
You know, he just has no appreciation for the classics.
Yeah. I think you got to go with the original double-bladed Darth Maul. That would be just badass, right? Like, I don't care if you didn't like that movie or not, right? And maybe you like it better than some of the newer shit that came out. But when you were in the theater and Darth Maul popped that double-bladed, it was one of the biggest.
Well, that's the best part of the movie.
Yeah,
That's why
everyone
people
was
sat for 2
"Holy
hours.
Chet, what do you choose in lightsaber?
Oh, did I? So okay, some backstory real quick.
3 hours later.
Here we
All right.
go.
So okay, Star Wars, fantastic, but I think everyone has it wrong. I think Imperial is actually like the better of the two. However, that being said, I would have to go with the gray Jedi. Because the gray Jedi, remember that they're like Jedi, but they function outside of the council. They don't actually adhere to Jedi rules, and they have the like inverted lightsabers that are like basically like black with like the gray around them, and those break other lightsabers.
Okay. All right.
So the gray Jedi. I mean, I think that if they wanted to do the Star Wars world any justice, they would do a story around the Grey Jedi. But
Mm.
I don't know. I can't remember if they kept those in canon or not. I know that it shows up in the animation.
Yes,
Ahsoka gets one, I think. Right.
Well, there's also the Darksaber, right? That I think.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I couldn't remember the name. Darksaber.
Yeah. It's pretty badass. I love how they introduced that in the Mandalorian franchise. All right, well, that's good to know. So, if anybody's looking to gift the Shadow News podcast crew knows that's what we're looking for. So we'll put that into our Amazon wish list and hope the best for the holiday season.
Wait, we have an Amazon wish list?
We can create one. Speaking of franchises, and a very popular and old one at that is Godzilla, which has been around forever. There's a cult following with the Godzilla classics. There's been some really, over the past 25, 30 years, some new renditions of it, some bad movies, some pretty good movies. I think there's been video games and introductions into Call of Duty with Godzilla and King Kong. So these movie monsters with CGI being at an all-time high are very popular. So they're doing a TV series here. There's been a lot of movies. What is everyone's thoughts? Are you in on the Godzilla craze right now and the movie monsters with Mothra? And, are you in on this new series? And just your thoughts of where things stands with the King Kongs, the Godzillas, and some of these other epic legendary monsters of the past.
Is Mecha Godzilla a part of this conversation or no?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I could get the final battle from Slideshow for $1,955.
Jeez. Okay.
I honestly, I don't know. Not. I've never been a. I understand it, but I've never really been like a Godzilla person. I get in, I watch it. It's like,
All right, well, on hindsight, this will reverse my age a little bit, but I was watching Godzilla since it was like in Southern California, where most of us reside, on the $1 Million Movie, and my grandfather would make us sit and watch like Godzilla films. So I'm a huge Godzilla film fan. I went actually in theaters, sat through Godzilla 1985. So he's always been a favorite as a character, and I think the new films have done a extreme amount of justice to it compared to the Matthew Broderick version, because I thought they were going to never let an American company ever touch Godzilla again. But Legendary has done a great job, and I think with Skull Island, that's personally my favorite.
I will tell you, I like that movie. I think it's fantastic.
It's a great film, and I'm kind of looking forward to the television series, because they've been doing Monarch, and they've just built a really good world around it. And they've been very protective with what they've done with it. I thought the first Godzilla film that they did through Legendary, it wasn't enough Godzilla. We were like, well, wait a minute. The second film, they bumped that up, and the third film, they really took it up a notch, and even with the introduction of Mechagodzilla. So I'm looking. I think that Legendary is the right holders of it, and I think Toho was smart to allow that partnership to continue. I don't think they're going to put anything that's going to damage their reputation with the character, and they even did a Netflix Skull Island animated show that's for younger audiences, But that's in the same vein as the TV show. I think they've done a great job of introducing other fans that might not be involved with these other characters. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Legendary is going to do on an episodic level with this character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think on they just started a 24-hour Godzilla channel.
Oh, wow.
Enough movies to just keep showing them.
It sounds like Tubi.
It's like Twilight Zone.
Tubi, if they can run something 24 hours a day, Tubi's going to do it.
Including commercials.
Exactly.
I think Godzilla, one of the most classic, epic characters of all time, and I think the past few movies they've done really well. I think it's a monster movie, so there is a bit of cheese, and there's an acceptance of that. And so I love the ability for a TV series to your point, Alex, is to give us a little bit more backstory into maybe the origins and things. But I think overall, I really enjoy. Matter of fact, in terms of just monster movies, if I had to like put my top 20 films over the past 20 years, surprisingly enough, it would be Pacific Rim. I don't know if anybody saw that movie.
I love Pacific Rim.
They made a second one. It was horrible, but the first one was really great.
I think it's pretty cool.
And that's combining, let's be honest. It's like, like it pulled from like old Japanese, like films with, if I had to explain what that was, it was like Godzilla in those movies kind of meets like Voltron meets.
Well, yeah, you know what people thought that the Pacific Rim was they thought it was a live action Evangelion. Like Evangelion was one of the most, still is if you watch it, like just weird animes, and that has like a lure around it too, because they never like finished it off right. They just kind of hooked everything up for the finality. But I mean, Pacific Rim was fantastic. Mm-hmm. I could never tell what country he was from in that movie, but he had the same. I forget what that actor's name was. We had the same problem in
Sons of
Anarchy.
Yeah.
Like one episode he's Irish, the next episode he's English, next episode he's American.
But see, that's the thing is like you expect a bit of cheesiness, right? Like that's the cool part. But you're really signing up for some of the sci-fi stuff and this epic battle between man-made machine and monster, right? So, and I think they did a really good telling of the story of why these monsters were coming about and stuff. So if anybody hasn't seen it, I recommend it, but I'm really excited about this new Godzilla TV series and see.
You've got to think with Godzilla, he's probably one of those movie classic like James Bond. Like, it's like he's been through the decades, and it somehow seems like there's an audience that's willing to change every time there's a new version of him. And I think with like Bond, it's very rare that you can get like, a character that can go decades and still have some freshness to him. So, Legendary's done a perfect job with it, man.
Well, now I want to see Godzilla with a bow tie and a tuxedo.
Yeah, no, that'd be fantastic, actually.
Speaking of monsters, and I know the last podcast we talked about The Walking Dead, and our franchise is dead. And I think we all align that regardless of spinoffs, I think it's ran its course. So staying on the topic of monsters, we're going to get into your favorite zombie movie or TV series of all time. But I do want to pause and talk about the Jurassic Park series a bit. Is it time to sunset the Jurassic Park franchise? Is it time to lock it in a box, throw away the key, and revisit it 15, 20 years from now? Or do you all believe that it can continue on because it's a still international moneymaker? But in my opinion, the last couple of movies have been, well, for lack of a better term, it's just really bad. So
the last
I want to give everyone stuff. Well, I mean,
there was one good one.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Really got in there,
Yeah,
King
I
Kong.
think you're right. At least this there was the second one had some pockets of okayness,
Yes.
right? Like you could
But it was
pull,
not
like,
the first movie
no,
where it blows.
no. So is it time? So we'll start with you, Dr. Brantley. Like, is it time to say goodbye to Jurassic Park?
Well, you don't have to. You just have to stop making the same movie over and over again. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot you can do with dinosaurs in the modern world. I mean, I can just think of a million things you could do with that. And all they're doing is, well, let's just kind of keep it here. And they're going to chase after some humans that are in a park. Oh, and then when they finally get them out into the real world, oh, we're just going to do this little story here on this tiny little island in in this valley where they're all contained. It's like, no, you should do a movie where they're out in the world and there's a ton of problems that's going to bring.
Yeah, I think they have to change their storytelling. I know that they've done a great job of trying to keep it as a family-based film. And I think that, there's kind of like the way James Cameron stepped into the Alien franchise. You have to distance yourself from the other franchises. I thought the Jurassic World was a little bit different, but yet similar. And I think now you have to make sure, like Dr. Brenton was saying, they're out in the actual world, and they're obviously a threat. And I think you have to change the way, it needs to dive in maybe a little bit more horror than family. And I think there has to be general consequences of, dinosaurs showing back up on Earth. And I just think that, they've really tried to keep it in the PG format. And I think that's what's holding them back. They're kind of like, well, okay, well, let's just bring the old characters back and renew the club. And, I think there's some people that want to watch that, but I think that you could draw in newer fans if you, remove those characters. They had their time. They had their trilogies. Just come up with a new set of characters and make the actual threat more real.
Well, the first movie is a horror movie.
Yes.
It's Steven Spielberg doing Jaws with dinosaurs. It's, it is scary. It's, even though it's PG-13, there's, Sam Jackson's arm. There's a bunch of people get, dismembered and eaten. It's one of the most intense scenes is when the T-Rex gets loose halfway through, and then the rest of the movie is just crazy, and everything is out to get them. And they kind of got away from that. There's still, they have bits where the dinosaurs attack, but it doesn't feel like you're in danger.
I mean, I'm sure maybe Stephen King or maybe Warren Ellis might have something to say about this, but is there another author outside of the first Jurassic Park that's had their books ruined by film than Michael Crichton? Is there any Michael Crichton movie or TV series that, outside of the first Jurassic Park that did the books justice? I can't think of one.
I can't think of it.
If I could just show you Congo and
Congo, where you are the endangered species.
we could just put the
That's
conversation to bed, right?
I mean, shit.
All this really great storytelling novels, and for some reason, I don't know. I don't know how they're unable to capture this great concepts and stories and characters on a film other than the first Jurassic Park.
Well, maybe because it's a little bit more. I know there's a lot of science involved, and most of it's novels.
Yeah,
and I think maybe it's just that they think that it won't go to a mainstream audience, so they need to dumb it down a little bit. And I think the dumbing down has actually hurt the audience a little bit more.
Agree.
Well, but then the opposite of that is like Westworld, where they're trying to be so highfalutin and clever that it doesn't make any sense anymore. And it's this should have been robots in Western shoot 'em up. That would have been amazing. And then I'm just like, oh God, what is this? I don't understand it.
After season 2, they lost half their audience.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
That's why the original Westworld is the best, like the old school one.
It's just a movie.
One movie was over. It was like, man, that's fucked up.
Well, and the original Terminator, Yul Brynner is just after them halfway through the movie, and he doesn't stop.
Well, that's what Arnold Schwarzenegger said was his inspiration for determining the role was Yul Brynner. So, obviously his performance still holds up. But, yeah, I think they tried to do it like, a season. I remember with Dr. Berry tried to get me to watch Westworld. I watched like the first season. And then there was something that he told me. He says, wait a minute, by the point you're going to get to this thing, you're going to be highly disappointed. And I said, well, just tell me now, because it doesn't make sense for me to just keep watching this thing. And then he tells me, I'm like, thank God I can stop the show now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why I'm really glad that they just did one movie of Cobra with Stallone and stopped. Because
yeah,
would have been a little too intense if I had to keep watching him.
I think that would have been hard for them to do that sequel, but I'm sure the executives tried to push that on.
That's such a good role.
Well, crime's the disease.
Yeah.
It's also breeding a new kind of cop. Meet Cobra. He does the job nobody wants.
Well, see, now you could have had fun with naming them, right? Because like Cobra 2 should have been like Cobra Strikes, and, stuff like that.
The Rattle.
I know we're almost out of time here, so I do want to jump into the zombie stuff. Best movie, TV, tons of zombie content. From all the way back to the Night of the Living Dead, it would qualify, those types of series, all through, all the new stuff. But I love everyone's take on, one or two things that really stand out to you is like they did it really well for the zombie or the walkers or that like Walking Dead type of movie or franchise.
I'm going to say I thought Brad Pitt's performance in World War Z was, I was expecting a little bit to be underwhelmed by it in the storyline, and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought they made their version of their pandemic that happened made sense, and I think that again, I think the best performance in it is Brad Pitt. He's really, it's a zombie film, and this guy's basically trying to pull off a award-winning actual performance. And the story was written kind of well. I'm glad that they've had all the startups for trying to do the sequel to it, and it hasn't really went that well, because I just think that just one and done, it should just leave it alone. But it'll be World War Z for me, man.
I had to look this up because I've been convinced of this shit forever, and I've gotten in many debates. Well, here it is. My favorite, zombie apocalypse movie, and I think it was done right, was 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
Now hear me out.
Danny Boyle. Yeah.
Cillian Murphy is fantastic in that movie, right? But what pisses me off, because I know it's true and people won't admit it, is that came out in 2002, and the Walking Dead comic came out in 2003, and he just wrote 28 Days Later into a comic. And if anyone wants to debate me on this, I'm totally fine with that. Just watch how 28 Days Later starts, and just look at how the beginning of Walking Dead starts. It's frame for frame the same movie. And no one, I just get in arguments with this shit all the time. Somehow, more power to him. He's a good writer, but also he's not a good writer if you look at all the shit he did before The Walking Dead. So, Kirkman, fantastic. You made billions of dollars off of 28 Days Later storyline. That movie is fantastic. It holds up today. I literally watched this movie probably 3 months ago, and I was like, it's kind of creepy. It's kind of creepy how it starts. It has Romero-esque feel to it, with modern day. They're not slow and stupid. They're fast. They're adaptive. They figure their shit out. But man, it pisses me off because like The Walking Dead came out after 28 days later. And if you just the first issue of Walking Dead is frame for frame 28 days later. I'm not shitting you.
Both heroes are walking around in their hospital gowns, right? Yep. I mean, it's the exact same start. Everything's gone.
It opens the same way, and then he finds his friend like he does in 28 days later. It's like
So we can check off Robert Kirkman for ever wanting to do an interview.
Yeah, there goes
that's done now.
I'll interview him.
So there's 3 people that will never be on this cast. Robert Kirkman, the head of Diamond, and shit that hasn't been said on this podcast, but from past history, Rob Liefeld. But those are the only 3 that will never be on our podcast. Dr. Brantley, your zombie take.
Well, there's recently Shaun of the Dead is a really good zombie movie, but I have to go all the way back to the first one, Night of the Living Dead.
The killers are eating the flesh of the people they murdered.
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
Even though there's parts of it that are cheesy and, not well shot and everything, it's brutal. It just keeps going, and they're trapped in there. You feel the paranoia, the claustrophobia, and there's some stuff that is still just like hard to watch in that movie.
Yeah, definitely. Like captures the essence of just some scary shit.
Yeah,
and the way it was filmed too. Yeah,
and also just they've got a whole other thing going along with it because of the time period it was made, the race of the characters, and how it all plays out in the end. It was actually saying something beyond just, hey, this is a horror movie where dead people come back to life.
Definitely.
Man, you went way deeper than I did.
Well, no, here's a controversial take. I might get some backup on this one. I think the best zombie story ever made is The Last of Us, but not the HBO series. It is the actual playthrough of the video game Last of Us. The story, all of the cutscenes, from beginning to end, including how you play, in my opinion, and this is why the HBO series has been great, because they've followed it pretty to the T. I mean, there's been some characters and stuff that didn't exist, but in general, they've kind of captured a lot of the stuff, but not to the point. I just would say, if you're a video game player or not, in my opinion, most captivating tale in a post-apocalyptic zombie world that I've ever seen. So I don't know, Chet, if you had any thoughts on that, because I know it's one of your top choices for video games.
I mean, I would agree. I think I bought every reiteration of Last of Us, but when Last of Us was announced, I got to see playthrough of it at E3 and was like, when is this coming out? And I'm gonna be on, like, the score for the video game is fantastic, but I don't care who you are, the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of gameplay of that game is very hard to play. It's very hard to watch. Like the way that they set it up, you're losing his daughter, like all that shit sucks. And then the idea of knowing that they base this off of something that really happens in nature blows my mind.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool. I like the series. I've been enjoying the series, and everyone's kind of, I mean, they're on the fence, especially if you've played the video game, but I mean, there's a reason why it's been nominated. I think it's been actually really good, and I'm excited to see if that continues to progress. But some good acting. But I think there's a lot of other good zombie stuff out there. Some really bad stuff.
Plants vs. Zombies.
Yeah. I hope, things will carry on in a positive way. I think the pinnacle of zombie stuff is past, but I think there'll be some unique stuff with this.
Would you put Resident Evil anywhere with that? The movies?
I would. And you can put in good and bad. There's some Resident Evils that are really great.
The first one was good.
And then there's some that's really bad, but I think you have to put it in the genre, man. You know, as some of the better ones, and then some of the worst.
So, would you also put Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
I don't know about that, brother.
Would you put what about Army of Darkness? Would you put that in a zombie, or would that be its own? Right, because it's like, I don't know. See, that's when it's like on the edge of like.
Technically, they do resurrect an army of the dead in it, so
yeah.
That's like saying, well, it's not as bad, but if you were like, my favorite zombie movie is Warm Bodies. That's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I know we're out of time here. Any last thoughts or comments from the Shadowe Crew before we adjourn on episode 3?
Nope.